If you want your online course to actually sell, I am going to show you the 10 biggest mistakes that cause 86% of online course creators to fail. After selling over $25 million of our own online courses and helping 5,000 plus creators sell $100 million of their courses, I've identified the exact patterns, habits, and mistakes that cause failure. More importantly, how to avoid that failure. So in this video, I'm gonna break down all 10 mistakes with real examples and give you the tactical fixes for each and every one. This is not theory. I know this stuff works because creating, selling, and marketing online courses is all I do all day, every day. And I personally witnessed that most people make 7 or 8 of these mistakes simultaneously, which is why they struggle for months or even years without seeing any results. And I do not want you to be one of them. So, kicking things off with mistake number 1 is something I see in probably 90% or more of failed online courses, and that is called selling information. Now, many of you will hear that and be absolutely confused. What the heck are you talking about? Online courses are education. It is information, right? I'm extracting all this knowledge in my brain. I'm putting it into an online course. I'm slapping a price tag on it. I'm a course creator. So what the heck are you talking about when you say stop selling information? Let me be lucidly clear here. Raw information as a standalone has inherently almost zero value. There, I said it. Now let's get some things off my chest here and actually explain what I mean by that. People do not buy online courses on how to lose weights because they want a whole bunch of videos. If they wanted a bunch of videos and a bunch of information, they would go to YouTube. It's free there. They would go to ChatGPT and AI tools because the information is almost free there. They can get info and education at a far faster rates and for free outside of your online course. They don't want it. They never needed it in the first place. People buy courses because they want end outcomes. They want what the education can provide for them and what it will do for them. I might buy a course on how to lose weight, not because I want the videos or the education. Again, inherently no value. I want it to lose weight. Okay, but why do I want to lose weight? Let's go deeper. I might want to lose weight because I want to look good with my shirt off. Okay, why is that important? Well, because I want to attract the ladies. Okay, why is that important to me? Well, because I want to get married. Notice what I just did is I reverse engineered what the customer actually wants in the end state, right? I want to get married. That's the end outcome that I want. And then it came all the way back to an online course is simply just the vehicle to get you there. But if a customer gets that information better with YouTube or better with AI or ChatGPT, they're going to go and get that information from there. This is what actually opens up a beautiful opportunity for course creators is to position themselves as the solution in a way that AI and YouTube and all these free stuff and free courses can't do. People want end outcomes. They want the implementation and the execution the information provides them, not the information alone. And this is precisely where the majority of you are completely misunderstanding what education is, what an online course business is. If you're trying to create a community, a membership, a coaching program, an online course, whatever it is, if it revolves around education, you have to understand that education is not valuable by itself. We just watched Alex Hormozi, one of the godfathers of online marketing. He launched a book. And folks, I just bought this book. And what is this other than a whole bunch of information? It's just education, right? It's literally, how much is this? 150 some odd pages of info. It's all information. And I would bet some money that less than 5% of people will read this thing front to cover, the whole thing. I would fair to say that 25% of people won't even touch the darn thing. They bought it, it's like in a shelf somewhere, never to be seen again. And then I'll bet maybe 70% of people will thumb through, they'll look through it a little bit, maybe pick a nugget or two out of this, and probably do absolutely nothing with it because it's info. And that, folks, is why Hormozi sells his books for $35, $25, however much it costs. It's a low ticket item, right? It's a front end to a much bigger funnel that he has. And what's step 2 of that funnel for Hormozi? He offers implementation of the information by running some workshops. I hope none of you are surprised that the guy who famously said, I have nothing to sell you, and on the back end has a lot to sell. This is so obvious. Go to any of his emails. I'm on his newsletter. I love the way he writes. To be clear, I love Hormozi. I think he's a brilliant marketing mind. I think it's totally fair and appropriate to call out some of these funny things about him, though. I actually found that 75% or more of his emails contain a call to action to a workshop. Book a call. Next email, a workshop. Book a call. Next email, another one, scaling workshop in Vegas. Book a call. Next one, every single email, almost 75% or more, all contain a call to action to a workshop. This is the implementation of the information he's giving you. And Alex, being a smart marketer, knows that this little flimsy book by itself is inherently not valuable. The contents are amazing. It's important what's in here, but what people actually want is customized implementation to them and their businesses, their lives, their body type if they're in the fitness space, their unique circumstances. That is what people are craving in 2025. And then, of course, the final step of Hormozi's funnel channel is acquisition.com, where he actually invests in your business. He takes a slice of it. He wants to grow it with you. So it's a full-blown done for you system or done with you system. And the price point of each of these steps reflects how much value each has. The education, the information, hundreds and hundreds of pages of good, important info is actually only worth about $30. It's why he gives his courses away for free. The implementation of the education he sells right now for I think $5,000 to $10,000 at his workshops. And then acquisition.com is where he makes millions of dollars because he is taking a slice of your whole business by helping you to grow it. I teach that online course businesses and info business as a whole, whether it's a course, a coaching program, a community, a membership, doesn't matter what it is. If your business revolves around information and a transformational how-to, there are 5 pillars you have to build upon. The first is information. However, it only makes up 15% of the total offer you're building. Second is structure. This is the organization, the chronology of how to implement the education. Also extremely important. I believe structure should make up about 20% of your offer. I think it's even more important than the information because we live in an information overload right now. The organization and the structure of that is more important than ever before. The third pillar is support and community. This is Facebook groups. These are online groups or forums where your community and peers can get together and surround themselves with like-minded individuals, coaches. This, I also believe, takes up 20% of your offer. Fourth, you've got done for you elements. I have a whole separate video on my YouTube channel explaining what each of these 5 pillars are. I go really deep into this fourth pillar, done for you elements. This consists of 35% of your offer. Again, these are tools that help people to execute and implement and customize the information to themselves. That is what people want now more than ever. And then finally is accountability. This is what turns the information into actual results because people are lazy, people forget, people whatever. This, I believe, makes up 10% of your offer as an education-based business. But let's now move on to the second mistake that I see course creators making. And it is one that took me years to overcome, and that is perfectionism. There's an acronym called MVP. It stands for Minimal Viable Product. Learn this word, love this word, become addicted to this word because it is one of the biggest mistakes you are making as a course creator is not understanding the concept of a minimal viable product. This is one of my most favorite images that clearly and beautifully explains what an MVP is. When you build or launch anything, a business, a product, a service, there are 2 ways that you do it. The first way is what you're seeing here. The goal of the product or the business is to build a car, right? Let's say that is the product we're building. Route 1 says, let's build a wheel. Let's make that wheel so perfect and beautiful. And then we're going to add another wheel. And then after that, we'll add a chassis onto it. And then finally, we'll have this beautiful, perfect car. Here's the problem. Oftentimes, it takes people 6 to 12 months, sometimes 2 years to get to that perfect version. All the while, they've been plugging their ears, building this thing in a closet, listening to 0 customers. They've gotten no feedback. They haven't sold a single one of them, so they're running dry on cash. They're getting very anxious, very depressed, very discouraged, and they run a ginormous risk of building something that nobody wants by the time it's done. Route 2 is how I have launched everything I have ever built, but again, it took me a while to understand this concept. It's so bizarre to up-and-coming and beginner course creators or business builders in general, and that is that you have to launch in imperfect but complete stages. Yes, we're trying to launch and build a car, but let's first start by building a skateboard. When you compare these two, yeah, the skateboard's kind of junky. It's not a car, but it is a usable version of the same purpose a car accomplishes. But what you do on this route 2 here, right, is you collect feedback. You listen to customers. Hey, what about the skateboard do you like? What about it do you not like? What would you like changed about it? Oh, a handle on top might make sense. Cool. We'll build a scooter. Okay, what about the scooter's good? What do you hate about it? What do you like? What do you wish is different? Some pedals might make some sense. We'll make a bike. And then the bike becomes a motorcycle. You add an engine to it. And then pretty soon you've got the 5th and final version. This is the perfect car. But here's the main thing that differs from route 1 versus route 2. Route 2, ironically, actually gets you there 4 to 5 times faster. Route 1 might take you 2 years of building something in silence, alone, in your closets. Route 2 might take 6 months. On top of that, route 2 allows you to actually sell something. You can put it in customers' hands. Again, it's not perfect, but it's completed, and they can give you money for that imperfect but completed product, and so it can fund this whole system of iterating and optimizing your product or your course. Put another way, if you are not embarrassed by the first version of your course or your product or your service, you have launched too late. And I mean that. Your ego, the perfectionist in you, is the only thing holding you back from launching, and you're actually just shooting yourself in the foot. One of the best students to ever come through our program was Bridger Pennington. The way he launched his course and his program actually transformed the way that we ended up teaching it to all of you. His dad and family members were extremely gifted fund managers. They're really good in the fund world. He wanted to make an online course and a program on how to build your own fund and how to launch it. But he had 0 following. Nobody knew who he was. He didn't have a ton of money, but he knew enough about minimal viable products that he said, you know what? I don't want to risk making this beautiful course for a year or 2, and then by the time I launch it, it's crickets. So Bridger took an extremely unconventional path that most of you would probably be way too afraid to ever even try. But the principle is really cool here. He built an offer and nothing else. He just put on a presentation exactly what this course and program was going to have, what it was going to help the end user accomplish. He focused on the end outcome. He put together a very simple funnel. It was just a book a call funnel with a sales page going over what was included, and then he ran ads to it. And the rest, he just sat back and he watched the customer. He hopped on calls with these people. He ended up closing dozens of people on a phone call, selling them a product that did not even exist. So he went to the whole other extreme, didn't even really build the skateboard. He launched a non-existent thing just to see if there was demand in the markets. Then once he got their money and they bought the thing, he then said, hey, by the way, this actually doesn't exist yet. So you've got one of two options. Either one, I'll refund you right now and just give you your money back. Or two, if you want to be a pioneer and help me to build that product I just sold you, I'll coach you one-on-one. I'll give you much higher level support than anyone's going to get in the future. I'll give you an enormous discount, and you're still going to get the end outcome probably faster than most of the people going through my course will in the future. Sure, he got some refunds, but most people were more than happy to help him to build this thing, this MVP, and Bridger has gone on to sell over $25 million worth of his program and courses. I actually haven't talked to him in a minute. I think he's well over $30 million at this point. He has absolutely slayed it because he followed the right order of operations, resisted the urge to be perfectionist, and followed the MVP process. Mistake number 3 of online course creators is what I call under-marketing. Now, truth be told, I don't know who's to blame for this. I think it is mostly in parts to the media that you're all consuming, in particular, the online gurus of the world. You got these people who make it seem like marketing an online course, building a business, launching something is the easiest thing you've ever done, and then pretty soon you can be like me with a Lambo, some bikini babes, and a cigar, and you can live life on your terms. Well, unfortunately, what this over-promised and under-delivered market of gurus has created is, well, number one, these gurus, most of them aren't around anymore because their products sucked and they over-promised everything to the world, and turns out it actually takes a lot of work to do this thing that we call an online course or an online business. I actually wanted to figure out precisely how much work and time does it take to get a customer to learn about us, build enough trust with us, and then eventually buy from us. So I sifted through over $3 million worth of transaction data, which comes out to about 6,000 individual purchase journeys. And you know what I found? Every single purchase journey looks something like this. Now, this is just an average, okay? Again, some people, it took them 2 years of watching videos and clicking on emails and watching contents and watching our ads before they bought. Other people were on the other extreme and they saw one piece of content from us and bought. But the average looks something like this, where the average person was watching and clicking on 3 to 10 individual YouTube videos on our channel, 2 to 8 different Instagram reels, 2 to 6 different individual ads on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, etc., 5 to 15 emails, and 1 to 5 individual Google searches. And the time it took from the first point of contact, whatever the content's vehicle was, to the time they bought from us was 6 months. 6 months, and on average, 15 touch points before they ended up converting and buying our online course. And what I found in my years of coaching thousands of you is that many of you have a purchase journey that looks something like this. You've got 1, 2, maybe 3 touch points, and then you're just like mind blown. What is this? Nobody wants to buy my stuff. This is all a big sham. It's a big lie. It's like the only lie was the gurus who told you that you were going to get amazing results after posting 3 times. If you changed nothing about your business and all you did was over-marketed your online course, your business, your product, you would see results exceptionally fast. And if there's one thing to learn from these online gurus, it's this. It's that they are exceptional marketers. I detest the products they create. I think they're terrible product developers, but it should show you that even if your product absolutely sucks and it's scammy, you can succeed if you just market the absolute living crap out of it. So take a page out of their books. As much as you might not like some of these individuals, you can still learn from and see how did they actually succeed by selling something that you can still learn from them. I know, and these gurus know, that the more touch points you have, the quicker people are going to buy and the more likely they're going to be to buy from you. And considering the average person needs about 15 touch points before deciding to buy from you, it goes without saying that you need an exorbitant amount of content you have to create to increase the amount of touch points that are happening in your customers' lives. And mistake 3 leads beautifully into mistake number 4, which is quitting too early. Now, look, there's something interesting about the human brain. Every single one of us has goals. We have things we want to do. We have dreams, visions, right? I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to run a marathon. I'm going to start a business. I'm going to get married. I'm going to make $1 million. I'm going to insert your big audacious goal here. And what I find is that no matter what the goal or what the action is that you want to accomplish, every single one of them follows this beautiful 5-step process I call the hype cycle. It's actually called the emotional cycle of change, made by Don Kelly and Daryl Connor. But what this is when you first start anything in life, in this case, I'm going to build or launch an online course. I'm going to build a business, right? You come into it with uninformed optimism. What could go wrong? The world is my oyster, right? New year, new me, new month, new me. You see all these success stories. You learn all the contents like, I'm going to do this. I can do this. Then comes step 2, the informed pessimism. Oh my gosh, losing weight's kind of hard. I have to go to the gym every single day. I have to stop eating sugar. My donuts? These are things that I care about. I love. Getting married so hard. I have to date people. It's exhausting. I have to make a profile on Tinder. That kind of sucks. This person told me I was ugly. That's kind of discouraging. Man, building the course is a lot of tech involved. I have to subscribe to all these softwares. You find out it's not all sunshine and rainbows. You start to become informed of the pessimism and the reality of things. And then comes the lowest points that inevitably comes for everybody, and it is the valley of despair. You're at an all-time low. 60 to 85% of people quit at this third point here. It's just too much. I'm seeing no results. I'm gaining weight. I'm not losing it. I'm losing money, not making it. I'm getting rejected by more girls than I'm landing dates. This is the absolute bottom, the pit of despair, where emotionally you're the most depressed, you're the most discouraged, the most defeated. It's the easiest place to throw in the towel because it seems like there is no hope, there is no going up from here. But what I have found, and what these researchers have also found, is that there's a 4-step. It's called informed optimism. Hey, this is kind of starting to work. I haven't gotten my main end outcome quite yet, maybe. I haven't crossed the finish line, but I'm I can see myself improving. My biceps getting kind of bigger. I had a girl tell me I was kind of cute. I got my first couple leads for my online course. You start to recognize, hey, you know what? This may actually be possible. And then step 5 is the ultimate success and fulfillment. You cross the finish line. What you came here to get, you get. I have found, and this is kind of the whole point of this mistake coming together, it takes on average, I believe, about 3 months just to get to the worst point on this graph here, the valley of despair. Let me say that again. It takes 3 months just to get to the worst part where you want to quit. And some of you are expecting to get to the success and fulfillment of anything by month 1 or 2. Again, I don't know what it is about human brains. We have this magical number of 30, 30 days. That's the number I'm going to get this result by. Whether it's running a marathon, getting married, making $1 million, losing weight, starting a business, we expect tremendous results and amazing outcomes by day 30. I think it's just how we are programmed now in the 21st century. When an Amazon package gets to our door, from the moment I click buy to the time I get to open it, it's 24 hours haven't gone past. I can watch a movie right now on my phone, on Netflix. Everything is instantaneous, and it has destroyed our brains. We expect things to happen in these incredibly unrealistic time frames that we have forgotten the age-old art of discipline and staying consistent at something. I believe your chances of succeeding as a course creator, as a business, as a person, in anything that you do is substantially higher if you can just understand and reframe your expectations. I think half the battle is just setting proper expectations with yourself. More than half the reason the valley of despair sucks so bad is because you didn't hit the expectation you came in with. If you want to succeed selling an online course by day 30 or day 60, and then by day 90, nothing's happens, and you haven't made a single sale yet, of course you're going to be depleted and just oh my gosh, I'm going to quit. And so you do quit. But if you can start with a little bit more of informed pessimism with that uninformed optimism, and just have a much wider, a much longer time horizon of when you expect to get results, it's far easier to get through the valley of despair. Because again, month 3, month 6 might roll around, and you're oh yeah, I just planned for this. This is just a part of the equation. I wasn't expecting to get any results. So anything on top of that is just a cherry on top. Sure, if I succeed by month 1 or 2, great. That just boosts your confidence and makes you that much more likely to make it to the very end. But stop being so hard on yourself. Manage your expectations. Stop listening to these online gurus outside telling you that the world is going to be yours by doing nothing other than just buying their online course. It takes effort, it takes time, it takes discipline. Fix your expectations. Moving on to the 5th mistake that course creators make. I call it aesthetic addiction. And boy, do I gotta hold myself in here because I get emotional on this one. I step on my soapbox and I just grill course creators over this one time and time again because it is one of the most pervasive sins that I see in the online course world and people looking to make an online business. I cannot tell you how many people I see obsessing and addicting over aesthetic junk. It's what it is. I'm gonna call it for what it is. It's junk. I'm gonna make my website amazing. I'm gonna make this animation here and this beautiful sweeping, beautiful color gradient on this button. And I'm gonna spend 3 weeks making this complex CSS code to make this cool function on this. My course library has to be beautiful and has to match my brand colors. And I'm gonna spend all this year addicting over my videos and making sure that the animations and the sound effects and the B-roll are on point and perfect. The list just never ends. I cannot tell you how many people I see spending 6 months, 12 months, years on their courses because of aesthetic addiction. Again, I talked about perfectionism already. This is probably the biggest reason people perfect and have a perfectionist mindset is aesthetics. It's the art. But here's the reality. 86% of businesses fail for just one reason. Do you want to know what it is? Let me first tell you what it isn't, on what many of you think it is. It is nothing to do with competition. Businesses don't fail because of a bad economy, or because the product was terrible, or because of your work ethic and you're lazy, or because you got burnt out, or because you hired somebody bad. All of those things contribute to a business that may or may not fail, but the number one contributor to a failed business right now, 86% of businesses fail because of cash flow problems. They don't make the money. The money is what runs a business, right? You could have the most fierce competition in the world, but if you're making money, you'll stay in business. You could have hired the world's worst employee, but again, if you're making money, you're still in business. And what I found is that as course creators, we have two conflicting dichotomies, two hats that we take on and off as a creator. The first one is the artist hat. This is literally the creator, right? We're creating things. It's in the word course creator. We are literally crafting and making amazing education, amazing products. We're trying to create things for other people to consume. I mean, at its core, an entrepreneur is a creator. Then you've got the business hat. This is where the marketing comes into play. You have to actually sell the thing you created. And there's this conflicting dichotomy between the two of them. And I just find that people get the order, the chronology of these two hats out of order. I go much deeper into the chronology in mistake number 9. But on this point here, you have to understand that aesthetics they serve a purpose at a certain point, and they don't matter until later down the road. Way too many of you are focusing and over-addicting and emphasizing the beauty of things, the aesthetic of the course, the videos, the websites, whatever it is that you can create, and it is the biggest time sink in the world. I'll get to more of this in mistake number 9. But moving on to mistake number 6, and this one, I am almost more passionate about this one than any of them, because it has transformed and helped me to succeed in every business that I've gone after, and this mistake is not talking to your customers. Customer obsession. You do not have a business if you don't have a customer, and I am appalled at how many of you do not talk to the very people who are going to be putting money in your wallet. A fundamental misunderstanding that your customer will tell you everything you need to know about your business, about how to market it, about the product. Everything goes back to the customer. This right here is a screenshot of recorded Zoom calls we had with our customers yesterday. If there's one thing I value more than any of my assets in my company, it is this treasure trove of transcriptions from my customers' phone calls. It is a business commandment here that we record every single interaction with our customers because it's where the gold comes from. Here in my company, we average 50 calls per day with our customers, which comes out to 1,500 calls per month. The average length is about 40 minutes long, which is 60,000 minutes of recorded calls with my customers every single month. And from those calls, every single call contains on average 18 pain points or desires that came from my customer's mouth. Multiplied by 1,500 calls is 27,000 individual pain points, desires, things that my customers are complaining about, what they're yearning for. And in those calls, it's a treasure trove because we're hearing things like, oh, the hardest part is blank. I tried X and it failed because blank. I'd pay more if it included blank. I just need someone to blank. I knew it worked when blank. I almost didn't buy because blank. I wish it did blank like your competitor does. I'm stuck at step blank. On and on and on. There's all these things customers say on these calls. And what I've found in my years of doing business and selling millions and millions of dollars online is that the customer will tell you everything that you need to improve about your business. By listening to my customers, I have some of the most amazing messaging and the copywriting out there. It's not me. I'm not some amazing, beautiful copywriter. I just take what my customers say, I package it a little bit better than them, and I put it in my emails, my ads, my YouTube videos, my Instagram content. My customers make my product better. They'll tell me exactly what they want, what they don't want. I have tweaked and optimized my offer, my pricing. It's helped me to understand how to attack churn, how to prevent cancellations, refunds. There's just this huge flywheel of everything about a business stems from the customer. If you just listen to them and apply what they're wanting or not wanting, I'm convinced it will solve everything about your business. And it's not just me. Jeff Bezos once said, we're not competitor obsessed, we're customer obsessed. We start with what the customer needs and we work backwards from their pain points. Scott Cook, one of the founders or co-founders of Intuit, not sure which, he actually famously came up with this follow me home strategy, where after somebody bought his software or one of their computers, he would introduce himself and politely asked to observe them setting up and using Intuit's Quicken software at home. He'd go into their homes, he'd watch them set it up, put it in their computer, install it. The first couple minutes, their first impressions, he would sit down for hours at a time with customers and just figure out and watch them how they use it. And he got some of his best insights from those sit downs with his customer, and eventually became a company policy. I implement and like to follow this 4-step cycle when talking to customers. First, I collect. I gather feedback directly from my customers, ideally through phone calls. Second, I then sort. I organize all the feedback. I try to spot patterns, commonalities, pain points, key insights, etc. Third, I act. I take the most important themes, I make improvements, I test stuff, and I change. And then fourth is I repeat. And I repeat the cycle over and over and over again. It helps me anytime I get stuck. Talking to your customers in whatever shape or form, in my opinion, will forever be one of the best uses of your time. If you don't know what to do, instead of dorking around on your website on aesthetic junk, go talk to the people who are going to give you money. money. And I promise you the rest will almost always take care of itself. Now, lastly on this mistake, here's 12 questions as a template for you to follow. Screenshot this. Feel free to implement these into your business. I like to ask these questions when I try to get surface level problems or pain points or desires out of my customers and get much deeper into their brains, understanding why they are experiencing things they are. Which leads me to mistake number 7, which is an entrepreneurial disease I call software stacking. And be honest, you may be in this boat right this very second. If you're somebody who uses 10, 15, 20 different tools and subscriptions you're subscribed to build your business. You know, in this 21st century, things are exciting. A lot of new stuff's coming out. There's a brand new thing that we can hop on every single month, and we're like this baby here with shiny object syndrome. Oh, a new AI tool. Oh, a new marketing trick. A new software. A new trends. A new whatever it is. There's something brand new happening, it seems, every single day, and we lack the discipline to just stick with simplicity instead of trying to introduce more stuff, more whatever. It really stems from this the grass is greener mentality, right? Where we think, oh, if I can just get a blank, then I'll succeed. If only I could get one more tool, or if only I can just hack this trend or get one more little secrets, then I'll have what I need to succeed. This is part of the main reason I launched Course Creator 360, the ultimate all-in-one platform. It's the one and only tool you actually need. It's the only tool that I use. I used to subscribe to these softwares right here. We had over 15 different software subscriptions we used to scale our online course business. This was extremely expensive, extremely complex. It caused way more problems than just the fact that it was draining our bank account every single month. And it's why it's now my main product and service that I give to you. It's not just all the softwares that can replace these 15 plus subscriptions, but I also pair it with all the education, the coaching, the support, the templates, everything that you need to succeed as an online course and as a business owner. And if you want to join, you can join a 30-day free trial below this video. Click below, sign up. But in my years of selling millions of dollars worth of stuff online and also helping thousands of creators do the same, I see so many people thinking more is better, right? Complexity must mean competency, right? So for some reason, the harder it is or the more complex it is, it must mean it's more important or more valuable or more intelligent. I used to be one of those people who loved complexity. If you could see me a couple of years ago, I used to make some of the most complex automations to segment my email list perfectly into 15,000 different buckets. I had the craziest tagging segmentations going on. I had 50 different funnels with all these A/B tests going on. I loved complexity. It felt like it was productive. I felt good doing it until at one point I found this complexity was a ginormous mess. It was really hard to scale. Anytime something broke in the system, it was a nightmare to try to figure out where it broke and why. I have learned from my mistakes. I no longer complicate everything, and it is my suggestion to you to simplify, which actually leads perfectly into mistake number 8, which is automating things before you manually prove them. One of my most favorite quotes is from one of the world's most amazing engineers and business minds, and that's Elon Musk. He says, the most common error of a smart engineer is to optimize a thing that should not exist. Elon then goes on to reveal this 5-step thing he calls his algorithm. It's essentially a process and a framework for how they go about building things, right? Step 1 is to question. Always ask who set the rule and whether it actually makes sense. Second is to delete. Remove anything that you don't need, even if you add some back later. Third is to simplify. Streamline what remains so it's as clear and efficient as possible. Fourth is to accelerate, so you speed up what you've done up to that point, but only after it's been stripped down and simplified. And then fifth is finally to automate. So Elon uses this for his engineers, right? When they're building some of the world's most complex things like rockets and spaceships and all these amazing things that he builds, right? But this principle applies just as much to course creators, and I've been using it for years. People want the sexy, automated, scalable stuff before they're willing to do the manual, not so sexy, laborious stuff. Perfect example, right? Webinars. When we first launched our first online course in 2016, webinars were all the hype. They're still extremely effective. I still do recommend doing them. But 8 to 10 years ago, everybody wanted a webinar, like Russell Brunson and like whoever, right? All of these people ran these automated webinars. They'd run paid ads. Paid ads went to a webinar. They would opt into the webinar. They'd watch it and they'd buy your thing on autopilot. And so for the longest time, I had so many course creators who were like, hey, when am I going to get my webinar up? How do I get my webinar going? Because in their heads, they thought the automation part, that's really sexy. To get a webinar up and running, it's just traffic that comes in while you sleep. You wake up and you've got 20 sales on autopilot. Of course, everybody wants that. But what they don't understand is the process to get that sexy, beautiful, automated webinar system up and running was a whole bunch of not so fun, laborious manual stuff that went into it. Beginning course creators come in and think, okay, I'm going to make my webinar. Then I'm going to make a funnel for that webinar. Then I'm going to run paid ads to that funnel. And then nobody buys. and now I'm confused why nothing's working. And the reality is it's actually completely backwards. Step one is you take phone calls. You talk one-to-one to customers. If you can't sell one-to-one, you cannot sell one-to-many. The milk comes before the meats. We can get to the meats. It'll come eventually. It's fun to get there. But you're going out of order. So step one, you take a whole bunch of phone calls. You sell them one-to-one. You then refine your offer because you're going to find people have some pushback. They don't like your price points. Maybe you don't have a very strong offer. But you learn that by talking to individual human beings, not some automated webinar that's being shown to people you're never even talking to. Then after you refine the offer and you find it works, you build a funnel and a webinar, and then you run some ads to that funnel and webinar. But even Elon Musk says, right, I have personally made the mistake of going backwards on all 5 steps multiple times. I automated, accelerated, simplified, then deleted. Again, started with the automated process first. So if a great mind like Elon Musk, one of the best to do it, can make a mistake, surely you guys can too. And you do. I see it all the time. You got to flip it around. You got to prove that it works manually. This almost always means that you have to be in the trenches, talking to people, proving things. Once you have a long enough track record that, hey, this is actually working really well, then you can get into the fun stuff, which is automating and scaling it. But let's move on now to mistake number 9. And it is this concept of growing horizontally and not vertically. Now, what do I mean by this? Essentially, one of the biggest mistakes I see course creators make is they come in and they feel like I have to learn all these skills, because there are a lot of skills to learn, right? You got things like paid ads and branding, offer and messaging, direct sales and discovery, social media and content creation, email marketing, funnels and copywriting, understanding your market and the outcome they want, the tech, the software to make all that stuff happen, hiring and scaling a team, building the actual product itself, a really good course, editing, videos, all these different skills. And people come in and they overwhelm the absolute living crap out of themselves. The problem is they try to do everything on a very small scale. So if you got 100 tokens that you're trying to invest in each of these skill sets, the beginner is going to say, I'm just going to spread across all of these. I'm going to be a jack of all trades, master of none. And going back to the hype cycle, the problem with doing this, right, is for the first month or so, it may feel kind of good to spread yourself thin across all of these skill sets. But as soon as that informed pessimism kicks in, you start recognizing things are getting hard. And if you don't go vertical on a couple of key skill sets, by the time you get to the valley of despair, because again, the valley will always come, it's inevitable, you're not going to have the skill sets that you need to get out of it. And you're going to look at this ginormous horizontally spread skill set that you have, which really isn't much of a skill at all if you haven't gone vertical on any of them. And it's going to be very hard to get out of that valley of despair because skill sets, knowledge, is what gets you out of that half the time. So the key is to go vertical on the most important things when you're first starting out. And to give you a little bit of a push, a little bit of a head start, here's 10 really obvious skill sets that you need as a course creator. Now, let me help sort these for you in the order I think you ought to go vertical on first. And then the goal here is to go vertical on 2 or 3 at a time. You don't have to become an expert on just one and go all in on that one thing. You can spread a little bit, but the goal is to not spread yourself so thin that nothing actually improves and you're not gaining any meaningful traction or progress on these skill sets. I would first and foremost hone my skill sets and try to go vertical on the following things first. Number 1, understanding who your market is and the end outcome that you are creating. This is a skill set. It's a communication problem and something most beginning business creators and online creators skip. They just want to go right to the fun stuff. But again, going back to mistake number 6, not talking to customers enough is the root of most business problems. Second, once you understand your market and the end outcome you're going after, the most important skill to develop is how to construct a really strong offer and messaging that offer. If you don't know how to make a strong offer, you can't sell it. And then third is to sell that thing that you made, right? That really strong offer. So it's direct sales, it's discovery, hopping on phone calls with your prospects and your potential customers, and so on. Here's kind of the rest of the order of the skills that I would go in order if I'm going to go vertical on them. This is a chronological skill set for the most part. There are some nuances here and there, but for example, paid ads and branding is on step number 8 instead of step number 4. If you're not very good at making the content in the first place, probably shouldn't put money behind that content, which is what paid ads are. So it goes without saying that chronologically, you should probably focus in on the content's skill set, the copywriting, heck, just talking in front of a camera like I'm doing right now. That's a skill set to learn before you go out and spend a bunch of money to force your content onto people's feeds. You get the idea, but on this topic of horizontal versus vertical, there's one last mistake I want to talk about that is extremely prevalent right now in 2025, 2026, and that is overconsumption and underproduction. This is just a disease by default because we live in the 21st century and we have more junk and more stuff to consume than any other human in history. We have so much at our fingertips, and what it's created is this consumption death spiral where we are the doom scrolling generation. We are the ones who just binge Netflix series, binge YouTube stuff. We buy a whole bunch of online courses. We want to consume. But here's the catch for creators, for producers, people who are trying to make an impact in the world by selling and building products, is we cannot be consumers to the same extent the average Joe is. It is one of the fastest, if not the fastest way to get discouraged, to get depressed, to compare yourself to other people. I mean, what is consumption other than a whole bunch of comparison? Oh, look at my competitors making all this great YouTube content. Oh, look at that amazing ad. Oh, this is such a good funnel. The more stuff you consume, the less you're producing. And so it's for that reason I personally keep myself accountable to a 4-to-1 ratio. This ratio has changed my life. It's gotten me out of many valley of despairs. When I'm at my lowest points where I feel like, man, I'm hopeless, or oh, my business isn't growing as fast as I want to, or oh, I feel like I'm in a rut, I remind myself of this ratio and I get out of it almost every single time. That ratio of 4-to-1 is for every 1 unit of consumption, push yourself to produce 4 units worth. Example, this video here is about to end. This video is probably close to 30 minutes or more. Great, if this video is 30 minutes long, shut this video off the second it's done, and your job is to go out and produce 2 hours worth of something, anything. Make your own YouTube video, go make an Instagram reel, write some email copy, go make a new funnel, write an outliner for your new course, build, create, do something with these beautiful hands and with that great mind that you have. Instead of watching me do it, instead of watching your favorite influencer do it, instead of going out and doom scrolling, stop the consumption cycle in its path and produce. I'm telling you, it's one of the simplest things to do, but it is kind of hard to actually execute in practice because there's so much to consume and it's much harder to produce. But all these people you're consuming stuff from, that you're getting value from, are the people who are under consuming and overproducing. The best producers, the best entrepreneurs, the best businesses, the best products are made by people who are producers. They are not consumers. My challenge to you is to stop being a consumer and to be a producer, especially if right now you feel like you're in a rut. You're in that emotional down period. You're depressed or anxious, whatever it is. Anytime that I've been in that mindset, I'm just telling you, I flip on my creator brain, I shut off the distractions, get rid of my phone, I flip off YouTube, off Netflix, and I create. I just create something. And I always end my day after I create something on an amazing high. And yes, it's kind of hard to stop this addiction that we have of consuming. But if you can, it'll propel you to heights you can never achieve if you were in the consuming brain. And with that, folks, those are the 10 biggest mistakes I see online course creators making after having coached over 5,000 creators, selling over $25 million of online courses ourselves. And if you want to learn how to avoid these mistakes and hundreds of others, you can join our 30-day free trial to Course Creator 360. It is the ultimate all-in-one platform to build, market, and sell your online course. It's not just a software. It is the education, the strategy, the blueprint of everything we know of selling $25 million plus of product and courses online. But it's also the 24/7 support, the coaching. You now know the most common mistakes. Your job is now to avoid them, learn from my mistakes, learn from mistakes of thousands of others before you, and go out and crush it. We'll see you in the next one.